Hi yogis, welcome back. Hatha yoga is part of the wheel of yoga. It's another type of yoga, and like all aspects of yoga, it's a representation of love. But in this case, it's love and respect for your physical body. It's also referred to as forceful yoga, and it represents strength and tenacity of body, and then by association, strength and tenacity of mind. Hatha yoga is often the first introduction to a yoga practice for people, and it's the most obvious part of the practice. And there's two reasons for doing it. One is to avoid the confusion of transcending your ego and understanding love and light within your heart. So that's a very confusing concept for a lot of us to understand. It can be quite overwhelming, and an abbreviated way to understand yoga is to just do the poses, just do the hatha, the forceful part of the yoga. And the second reason to do it is because the physical practice of movement will prepare your body for transcendence. So make no mistake, it is a beautiful, this mystical state is a beautiful state of being, but it will have profound implications for your nervous system and for other bodily systems. So by doing the hatha practice, practicing range of motion, taking care of your physical self, your body is prepared for the rigours of transcendence. So wherever it is you're going to the other side, you're prepared for that journey. But tread cautiously with Hatha yoga. Hatha yoga is sometimes described as the technology to represent the practice, and it's a timeless technology. All you need is your own body. You don't even need a mat, you just need yourself. But it's this technology that represents one aspect of the practice, but tread cautiously. It's yoga is the opposite of a body-centered, egotistical practice, but it's really easy to inadvertently overinflate your ego on your way to transcendence as you admire yourself in the poses of Hatha yoga. So be very cautious that as you do the poses and as you improve or decrease your strength, whatever happens to your physical self, be really careful not to overinflate your ego and not to admire yourself in the poses. And this is particularly relevant when you're creating a video of yourself doing yoga, or you're watching yourself participating in a video class. Remember that the poses are just the technology to realize one aspect of the practice, and don't admire yourself too greatly in the poses. Their poses are handy. They are a handy representation of the practice. They're a useful technology, and they'll protect you on your way to transcendence, but they are certainly not the center of yoga. So Hatha yoga can be either just sitting. Some practices describe it as seated. Spruce Man has something to bark at. What's going on out there, Spruce? We'll never know. The mystical things that dogs see and hear. So Hatha yoga is it's alternatively described just as seated. Some practices, it's just a tall, comfortable seat, and some of them, it's a whole vigorous range of full body movement. So for our purposes right now, we'll start seated, take 3 breaths here, and then we'll move through a couple of minutes of a standing sequence. Take a couple of breaths, seated up tall. And then bring yourself up to stand, starting with range of motion, so complete range of motion with your sun salutation. For our purposes right now, we'll do sun salutation A, Urdhva Hastasana, reach your hands up. Uttanasana, forward folds. Ardha Uttanasana, look up and lengthen. Chaturanga Dandasana, step back. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, inhale. Adho Mukha Svanasana, exhale. Step to the top of the mat, feet together, knees together, lengthen and look up. Uttanasana, forward fold. Stand up, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up. Tadasana, hands at your side. Pause here for a breath. Coming into standing poses, bring your hands to your waist, step your right foot to the back of the mat. Trikonasana, triangle, extend your arms out from your shoulders, tip forward, right hand to right ankle, gaze up at your left hand. Take a breath here. Exhale completely. Inhale, stand up, other side, pivot your feet, left hand to left ankle, Trikonasana. Inhale, stand up, pivot your feet, revolved triangle, Parivrtta Trikonasana, left hand to the ceiling, and then left hand to the inside of your right foot. Reach your right hand up to the ceiling. Take one breath here. Exhale completely. Stand up, inhale. Stand up, inhale. Reach your right hand up and over, right hand down to the mat. Gaze up to your left hand, Parivrtta Trikonasana. Inhale, stand up, bring your hands to your waist, lift up into a back bend, and then come into one balancing pose, feet together, bend your right knee, Vrikshasana, tree pose. Bring your hands to your heart center. Vrikshasana, tree pose, is a handy pose to do in your standing sequence because it's not too showy. It's very simple. Switch sides, but yet somehow it can always be challenging for advanced students and beginner students alike. So you're isometrically pressing your foot into your inner thigh and simultaneously pressing your thigh back against your foot. Hands come back right in front of your heart. Take a breath here, tree pose. Bring your hands down, bring your feet down, Tadasana, pause here. Come to one arm balance, bring your feet and your toes out to 45 degrees. Arm balances can be perceived as kind of show-offy, but actually they're a technique to focus your attention. Using the technology of movement to focus your attention on the present moment. So yoga asana for mindfulness. Coming into crow pose, bakasana, tip your weight forward, touch your toes behind you, and hold here for 3 breaths. Glue your fingers tips down to the mat. Create a little pocket of air underneath your palms. Hold for 1 more breath in, and then bring your feet down. Come into a wide-legged squat. Look up, lengthen your spine, and then sit down. Extend your legs out in front of you. Draw a little line right behind your knees, and then plant your feet on the mat right beside that line. Sit up really tall. And then extend your left leg, keep your right foot where it is. Ardha Matsyendrasana, half Lord of the Fishes. Twist over your right shoulder. Spruce Man has been growling and barking this whole time. We'll just leave that in. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Strong outstretched left leg. Strong twist over your right shoulder. Do the other side. Come back to center. There is some mysterious thing out there, but that's okay. We'll never know. So the next step, you move on to back bends. Sit up, plant your feet on the mat, look straight ahead, and then slowly lower yourself down to lie flat on your back. 1 back bend, little bridge. You do this again and again to maintain and encourage mobility in your spine. Clasp your hands behind your back, lift your hips high, gaze straight up to the ceiling. 1 deep breath in here. And a deep breath out. Lift your hips a little bit higher. And then lower down, exhale. One inversion, extend your legs up towards the ceiling, point your toes, lift yourself up and into shoulder stand. Support your low back first. We'll do modified shoulder stand. So you're supporting your hips with your hands, and it's your knees that are directly above your face. Legs are strong and straight, toes are pointed. One more breath in. And then exhale and lower down. Starting to, Ruth's little toy is here. Okay, starting to settle yourself down with supine poses. Fold your knees over to the left, extend your arm out to the right. Just one breath here. And then switch sides. Knees to the right, turn your gaze to the left. Come back to center and finally settle yourself for 1 full minute in Shavasana. Short pose, short rest, but you can do it. Close your eyes to your surroundings. Bring yourself back to the room and then sit yourself up. Close seated. Before you move on with the rest of your day, just bring your hands onto your knees. Remind yourself not to admire yourself in the poses of yoga. You're just a technology to avoid the confusion of transcendence, first of all, if you need just a quick interpretation of yoga. And second of all, they are it's the technique to prepare your body for the rigours of transcendence. But no body-centered egotism. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Namaste, yogis. Thank you for joining me. Until we meet again.